Happy New Year's Eve. Hi. Cheers. That's good. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome. You've never been here before. Today, we are going to be ranking all of the movie reaction commentaries that I've done this year on this channel, and there are 24 in total, so we're gonna be ranking them from worst to best. So, first one I name off is gonna be the worst one. Last one I name off is gonna be the best movie that I have reacted to on this channel. I will say this first, I have been truly honored with the pleasure of watching incredible movies. Movies that are my new favorites, my new top of all time favorite movies. I appreciate you guys for putting me onto some of these movies, so thank you. Give you guys a round of applause. With that being said though, there are some movies on here that I truly cannot believe how awful they were. Now, after I have done every movie commentary, I have given the movies a rating. So that is what this list is based off of. It is based off of the ratings that I gave it. Now keep in mind, there are multiple movies that have the same ratings, right? They all have 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10s, whatever. There are multiple movies in those categories. So I really had to maneuver, okay, did I think this movie was better than this one? Move the spots, all that jazz. Just so you guys know the process that I endured to make this video for you right now. So with that being said and done, let's go ahead and get into it. With number 24, this being the worst movie I have reacted to on this channel in 2021. Can you guys guess what it's gonna be? It is Seed of Chucky, which I gave a whopping 2 out of 10. I'm gonna need some of my sparkling 100% juice peach cider for that one. For me, I just don't understand why. Why was this movie created? Everyone that had to watch this movie could have been perfectly fine living the rest of their lives without ever seeing it. And you know what? The world would still be turning around. We would still be living our lives and everything would be fine. It did nothing for us as a society, and for that I had to give it a 2 out of 10. The plot was just, was there even actually a plot? I don't think there was. I don't remember there being a plot at all. I can't talk about this movie too much because I feel like this video is gonna be super long. And to be quite frank, I want to forget that this movie ever existed. If you haven't watched my reaction video to that movie, go ahead and do so. Something that kind of bugs me too is that, okay, so this movie, everyone knows that Seed of Chucky is the worst Chucky movie. We all know that. We, the audience and humanity, can accept that. And we acknowledge it. What I don't understand is in further Chucky movies, they don't even bring it up. Like, if you're gonna do something bad and awful and terrible and horrific, admit it. Own up to it that you did something terrible, awful, and horrific. They don't acknowledge anything that happened in Seed of Chucky at all. I mean, the way it ended too was a cliffhanger. It's like, okay, the way it ended, spoiler if you've never seen it, but the way it ended is Chucky's sawed-off hand or whatever comes for Glenn in his human form because they possessed each other's souls or whatever. Put dolls' souls into human babies. Okay, and then the next movie is completely different. I'm like, hey, what happened to Glenn? What happened to him? What happened to Glenda? The maid was telling Tiffany how scared she is of Glenda. Hey, can we digest that a little bit? Can we look into that a little bit more? Why is she so scared of her? I can't. There's so many questions, so many things. I can do a whole nother video talking about just this movie. Maybe for a future video, I'll talk about it. But for right now, Seed of Chucky, I gave it a whopping 2 out of 10. Coming in at number 24. All right, coming in at 23 is Curse of Chucky, which I gave a whopping 4 out of 10. Now, Curse of Chucky, I kind of gave it this score for the reason that I just listed right now for Seed of Chucky. is that the ending of Seed of Chucky had nothing to do with what Curse of Chucky was. I like consistency. I like continuity. Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 all directly continued off each other. Even Bride and Seed directly off each other. And then Curse and Cult were directly off each other. But I'm like, hey, there are 3 separate franchises going on here. Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 is a whole different franchise than Bride and Seed and Curse and Cult. They are all completely different genres of Chucky movies, I feel like. And to me, it was just confusing. There were just some parts that were really unnecessary, and I just did not enjoy it. But I did enjoy it more than Seed of Chucky, so there is that. Curse of Chucky, 4 out of 10. With that being said and done, coming in at number 22 is Cult of Chucky, which I gave a whopping 5 out of 10 stars. Now, if you watched my video reaction of this, you will know that I actually did enjoy this movie, all right? Not gonna lie, I did enjoy it. Out of all the Chucky movies though, I did not enjoy it as much as other ones that we will get to in a little bit. But Cult of Chucky was good. It was interesting. It had me on the edge of my seat. I liked it, okay? It was an interesting, good, fascinating story. However, my bone to pick with this one is that it's never really, it being the last Chucky movie that we get, it is very confusing. Like for me, if you're gonna leave off a cliffhanger, feed off of that cliffhanger. You know what I mean? I think they knew, same thing with Seed of Chucky, which I need to stop talking about how much I hate this movie, but with Seed of Chucky, it's like they wanted to leave off with a cliffhanger to get people to get excited for the next movie that they know they're gonna make. And then when no one cared about Seed of Chucky and the ratings were so terrible, they were like, maybe we should scrap that cliffhanger, scrap any connection to that. And in terms of Cult of Chucky, the reason why I gave it a 5 too was because it was also very confusing. Like how, I'm a person that likes things getting explained, which is what happened in the Child's Play franchise, basically, the Child's Play movies. Everything was explained. I don't understand how he's able to possess his soul into different bodies. I don't understand how they're able to all be controlled by the same person at the same time and also still be able to transfer his soul into a human when the entirety of the franchise is him trying to do that and not succeeding because he spent too long in a doll body. I just got a lot on my mind, as you can see. Anyways, yeah. Cult of Chucky, 5 out of 10. Next, we have Beetlejuice, which is a movie that I did a long ass time ago on this channel, but I gave it a whopping 6 out of 10. And I know I might get some tea, I might get some shade, some hate, and I already have been getting some hate for this, but you know what? It's just a movie. Not that big of a deal. And it's just my opinion, which is also not that big of a deal. Who cares? Beetlejuice is a funny movie, all right? It is funny. It is interesting. I just don't understand what was going on the entirety of the time. I felt like I was on acid. I felt like I did some drugs at a party that no one told me what they were. And it just didn't make any sense for me to give it a higher rating. And let's be honest, it did not age well. Like, come on. People say, it's just dark humor. Okay, well that humor is not funny. Making weird jokes about marrying 13-year-olds. Sorry if I don't think that marrying 13-year-olds are funny. So that's just me. That's just my opinion. Sorry about it. Okay, next, coming in at 20, we have the Halloween movie from 1978, the original. Now, I also enjoyed this movie, okay? And to be frank, giving it a 6 out of 10 is pretty generous of me, considering that it is so boring. It is so boring, my guy. I understand. And you know what? I understand. Older horror movies like this feed off of the whole first part of the movie being boring. That is their idea of being scary. I understand this. But there are some movies on here that are older, if not just as old as Halloween, but are way more interesting than what they did. I mean, it's just not good. I mean, listen, and it's just like too much nudity for no reason at all. Call me what you want, but come on, let's be honest. That much nudity is not necessary. If you need that nudity, you know where to go. So, not my fault. I don't need to see boobies, okay? There's just too many unnecessary elongated scenes of women's bodies. And it's just nothing, it has nothing to do with the plot. And that's just my opinion about it. And you know what? I have people in my lives that agree with me, all right? They're like, yeah, the movie's cool for what it is, but nothing's explained. So many unnecessary sexy sex scenes. And that's just my opinion. So, all right, number 19. We're getting into the higher rated movies. So there we go. We're getting into the 7 out of 10s. And the first movie coming in at number 19 with a 7 out of 10 is Friday the 13th. The original Friday the 13th. This movie is kind of the same thing, but it was a little more interesting to me because they kind of played off of the villain's perspective a little bit, where you don't see who the villain is until the end. And even at the end, I didn't really know Mrs. Voorhees was the villain until, you know, things started happening. And I'm like, oh shit, she's the one we've been seeing out of. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because the whole movie, everyone's talking to the camera from the, you know, as if they're talking to the villain. And they're talking normal, they're treating them normal. So we have this idea that this person can't be too threatening looking, too scary or horrifying because people are talking to her normal. You know what I mean? I forget her name, but the girl that was hitchhiking or whatever, she talks to her all normal, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's all cool, all that jazz. And then at the very, very end, she starts popping off and killing everybody. And you get some explanation, which I like. I love the explanation. And to be completely honest, the sexy sex scene in this was a little bit necessary. Actually, it was pretty necessary to the plot because that's kind of Mrs. Voorhees' whole motivation, I guess, to start killing these teens because they were all stupid and just having sexy sex while her son drowned and died. So there you go. That happened and it was pretty scary, not gonna lie. It was pretty scary and the deaths were pretty interesting. Some of them didn't make sense. I got a little confused, which is why it's on the lower end of my 7 out of 10 rankings. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it is. Interested to watch more of the movies. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing that. All right, coming in at number 18, might be another controversial one with a 7 out of 10 ranking is Scream 3. Now, don't give me hate. And you know what? When I was doing my Scream franchise, basically reaction, people were saying that 3 was the weakest one. And you know what? I have to agree. I love the Scream movies, all of them, for what they are, no matter what. And 7 out of 10, again, is very generous. But Scream 3 was just a mess. It felt like a Pretty Little Liars episode. I'm not even kidding. I mean, it was interesting, don't get me wrong. There was just some parts that were just, like, I just did not care about the characters. Let's be completely honest. The cast, aside from the original, I just did not care about. You know what I mean? And some of it was just not really as clever as it could have been, which I feel kind of bad for saying that, but it's the truth. Like when they added Randy in by having like a DVD or video thing that he recorded before he died, it seemed a little like, okay, come on now. I mean, I suppose it makes sense because of who he is as a character, but I don't know, it seemed a little cheap, and I just didn't care even about when the killer was revealed. I didn't care about it either. I just didn't care. I just feel bad because I didn't care about the setting, about the relationships, about anything. And no offense, we have to acknowledge Courtney Cox's bangs in this movie. That honestly brought me down. Like, it brought me down like 2 points. So that's my reasoning. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not sorry about it. This is just what I think. All right. With that being said and done, coming in at number 17 is Child's Play 3 with a whopping 7 out of 10. Now, I had to think, having Scream 3 and Child's Play 3 so close together, I had to think, which one did I enjoy more? And you know what? To be quite frank with you, I enjoyed Child's Play 3 more than Scream 3. It's just something about it. I'm a sucker for the first 3 Child's Plays, right? For Child's Play 1, 2, and 3. Those are my favorite Chucky movies. Call me basic, whatever. I love it. Child's Play 3, it was good. I will say that, it was good. I don't really have too much to say about this because it's just another movie. It's just another Chucky movie. But I do like that it is the same Andy, that it's still following the same situation, that he's still traumatized, and it's still a direct continuation. I like that. So that is basically my reasoning for that. It just wasn't super interesting, which is why it's pegged down a little bit, but it was more interesting and I cared more about the characters than in Scream 3. Okay? All right, let's take a little drink. All right, coming in at number 16, might surprise some of you guys because at the time I gave this one a pretty low rating, but I switched it and now it is right here. Coming in at number 16, Bride of Chucky with a 7 out of 10. Now, I just said 2 seconds ago, Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 are my favorite Chucky movies, and I stand by that. However, Bride of Chucky, the more I was thinking about it, the more I was rewatching it, you know, watching my video again, the more I enjoyed it. You know, it had to grow on me. It really did. And it was comical. We loved Jennifer Tilly, the characters, this situation. I mean, everything that was going on, iconic, hilarious, funny. I don't want to talk about them smoking weed part because that part was just like so random and so weird to me, but I just loved this movie. It was hilarious. It was a totally different vibe than the first, 3 movies prior. But you know what? It's okay because I enjoyed it and it worked because Jennifer Tilly has my heart, and that's it. That's all that is. That's all that there is to it. Bride of Chucky, 7 out of 10. All right, coming in at number 15 is An American Werewolf in London with a 7 out of 10. Now, I did not think I was going to like this one as much as I did. And even when I was going through my ratings, I was like, you know what? I gotta put this one at the top of my 7 out of 10 category because it was so good. One of the best werewolf transformation scenes of all time in the history of cinema. So good. And you know what? This movie was kind of funny too. I mean, it was comical, not gonna lie. And the soundtrack. I'm a sucker for a good ass soundtrack. You know what? Bride of Chucky had a good soundtrack too. And I mean, the only reason why this is pegged a little bit lower, I mean, you might not be surprised, but the whole ending part is just like him in a porn theater. And what is the point of that? What was the point of that at all? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. The directors probably couldn't even tell you either, to be completely honest with you. That is the last of the 7 out of 10 categories. Number 15, An American Werewolf in London. Go watch it. It is amazing. It is also really scary. Not gonna lie. It was pretty scary, but as scary as it could have been, for it what it is. All right, we're coming in hot. Number 14. These are all going to be my 8 out of 10s, and there's quite a lot. There is quite a lot of 8 out of 10s. I really had to narrow this down. But coming in at number 14 is a recent one that I watched, and it is Black Christmas from 1974. This is what I was kind of saying about older movies than Halloween, which came out in 78, being more interesting because I understand that 70s movies, 70 horror movies really play into the suspense factor, and the whole first hour of the movie truly is nothing. Nothing's really going on. That's kind of what happened in Black Christmas, but also not really. There was stuff going on within the first 20 minutes. There was already a death, and throughout the entirety of the film, you have everyone getting these phone calls that are creepy, and you still get perspectives from the killer, and deaths are continuing to happen throughout the film. And it's interesting, and there's connections going on, and you know what I mean? There's so many different things going on, opposed from Halloween. Not much was going on, let's be real. Black Christmas, and it was terrifying. let me tell you, go ahead and watch that video if you haven't. Black Christmas really, truly frightened me. Like a true frightened feeling, I guess. It was so creepy and I just, disgusting. I loved it though. I would rewatch this in due time though. She needs to process and do some research about it because I was a little confused. But it is a standalone movie, which is also something that I kind of like. So let the creative juices flow, let it just happen for itself and we don't question it. Something I can't really do. I have to question everything. Okay, coming in at number 13 is one that you guys actually recommended to me. I will forever be thankful to you guys for recommending me this movie because I loved it. Loved it. And that is Fright Night with a whopping 8 out of 10. This is the original Fright Night. I believe there's one more remake after this, but let me see. This one, it came out in 1985. And you know what? And same director as Child's Play. You know I was already gonna love this one. So you guys suggested it to me because I love the Child's Play movies so much. I watched it, fell in love. I mean, this one was the perfect amount of comical and horrific, and it was just a good classic vampire movie. It's everything you could want in a movie, and it was realistic enough considering it is about a vampire, but it was realistic enough about people not believing him, about people thinking he's crazy, not wanting to help him, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I loved it. The only reason why I pegged it down 2 spots was because, well, there are a couple scenes that I think were a little unnecessary. I'll leave that as you will, a little unnecessary, but it was so interesting. It was so, everything pretty much flowed really well together and the stakes were high. I love a movie with high stakes. That's just me. That's just me though. Amazing. Now, coming in at number 12, we're getting close to that top 10, folks, with a whopping 8 out of 10, is Scream 2. I liked Scream 2, all right? I loved it, and I will say this again, I love all the Scream movies, no matter what. However, with that being said, Scream 2 was just, it was good, but I can't stop thinking about that long-ass scene of Sydney's boyfriend just singing to her. I can't comprehend the reasoning for it. And I don't know, who's the killer? Oh yeah, that killer also kind of confused me. See, spoiler if you've never seen it before, in 3, 2, 1. So Billy's mom being the killer makes sense. And I said this in my Scream 2 reaction, and I'll say it again. It makes sense that she would want to kill Sydney's mom because she was the one fooling around with her husband. Why you gotta kill Sydney? She didn't even know any of this shit was going on. Why does everyone want to kill Sydney? Like, I just don't understand. This is what, I mean, Scream 3, like that premise made more sense. Like that villain wanting to kill Sydney made more sense than this villain. Especially Mickey, or what's his name? Yeah, Mickey. Ricky? I don't know, I think it's just Mickey. Whatever, you know, I already forgot his name. It's like, who is this guy? And he wants to kill Sydney and kill all these people, why? And I still don't really know why, and I've rewatched the movie so many times now. I don't know, maybe I'll have to do more research about that. I just don't understand. That guy's reasoning, so random, so unnecessary, in my humble opinion. But aside from that, the movie was fantastic, and I loved it. Hilarious as always. We love the iconic scene of Randy getting killed in the van, and those people are just like, hey, dancing with their boombox next to him. Hilarious, hilarious. All right, coming in at number 11 with another 8 out of 10 rating is my most recent movie reaction that I just did, and that is Krampus. I enjoyed this movie way more than I thought I was going to. Mostly because I didn't know what to expect, and lo and behold, I received something wonderful because it was perfectly self-aware for being what it is. They knew they were doing a movie about evil Santa Claus, and they're like, okay, this might sound a little ridiculous, but let's play into that. And it worked. It is so niche. It is so classic. It is everything that you would want in a horror Christmas film. Kind of like the same with Black Christmas. It knew it was gonna be a scary movie, and the setting was just Christmas. It wasn't really like a definitive point, like plot in the story, basically. It wasn't something very important to the plot, basically. But for Krampus, the whole plot was centered around Christmas. So they had to feed into all of these, like, the little gingerbread man, oh, elves and the presents, and, you know, all this stuff that you would think of when you think of Christmas. They had to play into that. And they did it well. They executed it magnificently. I loved this movie. It was hilarious. It was iconic. It was actually pretty scary, not gonna lie. And you know what? Hopefully it made some kids be good this year, get on the nice list. So there you go. All right, guys, we're in our top 10. We are in the top 10. Coming in at number 10 with 8 out of 10 is Child's Play 2. This movie is fantastic. I love it. One of the best sequels to a movie I've ever seen, just in life, aside from High School Musical 2. This movie played off of the first one so freaking well. Now, I am a little upset, even though this was like, I don't even know, like 20, 30 years ago. I am a little upset that they couldn't go along with, you know, the detective and, you know, Andy's mom being in it because of, like, whatever, scheduling conflicts and budgets and something stupid. But you know what? It worked out well. And we have our iconic queen from An American Werewolf in London, we love. And this movie was just a perfect sequel because we added new characters while still keeping at least one original, Andy, of course. We added new characters that are lovable. The thing about adding new characters, especially like in a movie like this, you have to make them likable. At Scream 3, you have to make the characters important enough for you to care about them. And that's what I felt like happened in Child's Play 2. And I just love this idea that it's a child, like all this crazy shit is happening, but no one believes him because he's a child. And children have like crazy imaginations and blah, blah, blah. But all this shit is happening. And you have this connection with Kyle, the love of my life. I love Kyle. I would give my heart and soul to her. Their relationship. This movie is just so good. I can't go on enough about it because I feel like we're talking about each movie so much. We gotta like shorten it down a little bit. I don't really know why I gave it lower ranking than I did, but because a part of me kind of wishes that it just ended right then and there. All the Chucky movies, it was just Child's Play 1 and 2 because the ending was perfect. You know what I mean? The ending was perfect how it is. But honestly, thinking about it, Child's Play 2, like this movie should have been a little higher because I loved it so much. Maybe in like, I don't know, it should have been bumped up at least above a couple of these movies, but whatever. 8 out of 10, it's still good. I loved it. Okay, coming in at number 9, we have an old ass movie commentary from earlier on this year that I did, and it is Children of the Corn, with a whopping 8 out of 10. Now this is something that I kind of just put on spur of the moment. Let's watch this movie, whatever. And it was when I was first starting out doing movie commentaries, and I loved it. I loved this movie. The more I think about it, the similes, okay, can you get off of me here? The, you know, comparisons to directly from the Bible, and I just love the story. I love abandoned towns too. I kind of really like abandoned towns. That's a little quirk of mine, but I just really love Children of the Corn. I'm kind of a hoe for stories told from a child's perspective. And that's kind of what the Children of Corn is. Children of the Corn is a movie based all about children, and children are creepy, and I love it. I love it so much. I mean, obviously, it's not directly from a child's perspective, but it's weird cult movie, and these people are freaking, everyone's afraid of all these children. They just overtake the town. Everyone's dead. I love it. And the children did this. The kids. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. 8 out of 10, Children of the Corn. Again, I'm not really sure why these are down so much. I might just change these all to 9s. Whatever. 8 out of 10. It's fine. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal. All right. So coming in at number 8 is another movie kind of about children. Kind of not. Trick or Treat, with an 8 out of 10 rating. Trick or Treat. Dude, when I was told that Krampus and Trick or Treat are directed by the same director. When I tell you my mind exploded, I mean, it makes sense. And I kept comparing Krampus to Trick or Treat. Same director, same director. Trick or Treat was a good ass Halloween movie. Kind of the same thing where I love the multiple stories going on. And I feel like it kind of did the same thing as Krampus where there's multiple villains. That is something that I love. I love multiple villains. I love multiple deaths by different creatures, stuff like that. And that's exactly what Krampus and Trick or Treat did. And the stories were interesting. You know what I mean? Although I'm still a little confused about the teacher. I mean the principal he's just a scary guy, like, and his son, like, that's just it. That's just, okay, he's just creepy, which I get, but all the other people are like, I'm a werewolf, and, you know, I'm Sam the trick-treater, and you know what I mean? And this guy's just a bad guy. So it kind of confused me a little bit. That's why that one brought me down a little bit. Coming in at number 7 is actually the first movie commentary that I've ever done on this channel, and that is Gerald's Game, with a whopping 9 out of 10. Now, this movie was a trip. It was very trippy. The storytelling was magnificent. I'm not really sure if this was directed by Mike Flanagan. Want to say that it was. But this movie was a whole nother adventure to endeavor. The only reason why I did not give it a 10 out of 10 was because, well, okay, let me talk about why I did give it the rating. It was scary, all right? It really freaked me out, and it didn't need to do that much. I love the psychological horror as well. Everything about it. You know what? Should I just switch these? Because the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, you know what? I did like this movie a lot. Should I give it a 10 out of 10? Here's the thing, I feel like giving it a 10 out of 10 is just not worth it, because I just don't think it was, in my opinion, a 10 out of 10. I feel like there's something about it that just threw me off. I mean, there are trigger warnings in it. Maybe that's why, because I have my own trauma. That's why I didn't like it. But 9 out of 10, I still loved it. I would only recommend it to certain people because it is, like I said, there's some things going on in there that are a little traumatizing and sensitive topics. So there you go. But the psychological horror and the storytelling of it was fantastic. And I loved it and enjoyed it. All right, we're getting there, guys. We're really getting there. Coming in at number 6, we have Scream 4 with a whopping 9 out of 10. I loved this movie, you guys. This movie was so good. Now, I remember why I gave this one not a 10 out of 10. Why I gave it specifically a 9 out of 10. And that is because it is a little obvious. Oh, spoiler in 3, 2, 1. It was a little obvious that Jill was gonna be the killer. At least to me it was. To me, it was quite obvious that she was going to be the killer. And here's the thing. When you have, again, you have to make us care about the characters in order for us to care that they died and to make their deaths interesting. However, you do not need to do that when you have, you know, the freaking cast list that you do for this movie. Because Scream 3, those people, okay, who even are you guys? The only people that's really worth noting about is Jenny McCarthy, and everyone else don't know who they are. But Scream 4, we have so many icons in it that I cared about their deaths, and that's how you do it. You gotta get iconic people in there, and then we'll care about their deaths, even when their characters are kind of flat, kind of one-dimensional. But other than that, I loved everything about this movie. Hayden Panettiere has my heart and soul. She has me in a chokehold, and that is okay. I would do, quite frankly, anything for her. That's why I gave this movie 9 out of 10. Iconic, amazing, spectacular, never been done before. And you know what, I would say this one too also played off of the other ones pretty well. Although I will say Emma Roberts is an icon of playing psychotic people, we'll just say. All right. Top 5. Gotta finish this off. All right, now coming in at number 5 with a whopping 9 out of 10 is Child's Play. The original Child's Play. I mean, I was not expecting to like this movie as much as I did. Let's be completely honest. I was not expecting, actually, to be quite frank with you guys, I wasn't expecting to like this movie at all. At all. You know, I know that he's kind of a meme, Chucky, but I loved this movie. I was like, okay, before I watched it, I think it's because I had to put myself in that mindset. Before I watched it, I'm like, okay, I know I'm watching a movie about a possessed doll. Let's acknowledge that that's what this movie is about. That is the world that we're living in. Deaths, amazing, iconic, hilarious. We love the mom and the detective also in Fright Night. Chris Sarandon or Sanderson and I don't know, whatever his name is. Everything about this movie was just perfect for how it is. And you know what? Like I said, this movie and Child's Play 2 should have been like the only ones. If there needed to be a second movie, Child's Play 2 is that movie. But if this was just the movie by itself, I still am curious about the remake Child's Play back in like 2019. Let me know what you guys think about that one. I wasn't really thinking about watching it, but then I saw that Aubrey Plaza was in it and I was like, hey, I might have to watch that. Might have to dig into that. But yeah, Child's Play. There's nothing that I would change about this movie. There's nothing that I would change about this movie except for like some logic going on. I'm like, what sense does that make? Which is why I pegged it down a little bit. Logically, some of it doesn't make sense. But I know I'm in a world where there's possessed dolls, so who am I to, you know, make judgments like that? Whatever. I don't know anything. All right, coming in at number 4 with 10 out of 10 is another recent-ish movie commentary that I did. That is Candyman. Ooh, this movie. I didn't know what this movie was gonna be about, what it was gonna look like, what the setting, the story, literally anything. It took me by surprise. I did not know that it was going to be such a psychological thriller like it was. I mean, not only is Candyman a terrifying, you know, villain to have in the real world if this was true, but to have the psychological aspect of it, of not being able to process certain things and for it basically coming off as if she's like schizophrenic or something. And the fact that this is all basically Candyman's fault. The story behind it, everything that he has caused, and how her life basically just got flipped upside down, all because she wanted to do this freaking research paper about urban legends. I mean, careful what you wish for, folks. I love the acting, I love the cinematography, the soundtrack. I mean, Candyman's voice is perfect for this. He's iconic, but his voice is perfect. It's perfectly scary and terrifying. And I just love it so much. I just freaking love it. Candyman. Also, again, let me know if the remake is any good at all, because I wasn't really thinking about it, but people say it's a direct sequel from this Candyman. Don't even bother with the other Candymans 2 and 3. Just watch the original Candyman and the new one. All right, coming in at number 3. Number 3, which is one that kind of got me a lot of traction. That is Silence of the Lambs. Ooh, Silence of the Lambs. I got a lot of traction because of this here tattoo of a death moth. 10 out of 10. I gave it a 10 out of 10. Before, I think I gave it a 9 or an 8 out of 10. But again, I was just thinking about it more. I love this story of our main character, Jodie Foster. I just love this storyline. It is iconic. It is thrilling. It is engaging. Hannibal Lecter is so terrifying as a person, but we never really see him do anything until the very end. He's freaking psychotic. And I love it. He is a terrifying human. And I just love how calm he is about being a terrifying human. And I love our strong, independent woman. I love the meaning. I love the message. This made me want to read the books that this is based off of, because it is based off of books, I'm pretty sure. First is Red Dragon and then Hannibal. So we will see. I am thinking about reading that. Let me know if you guys want to watch a video about me comparing the two. I just might have to. 10 out of 10. I wouldn't change a thing about this movie. I mean, it's like a whole nother side story. It's like the main plot is her trying to figure out this case basically of, you know, Buffalo Bill. But at the same time, there's all of this turmoil going on mentally for her because she's enlisting help from this cannibal Lecter. So yeah, just amazing, spectacular, and we love to see it. All right, guys, number 2, our king, Wes Craven, has stolen, you know, my heart. I've said this like 15 times to other people in this whole video, but Wes Craven, if there's anyone that has my heart, it's truly Wes Craven. And that is because at number 2, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, which I gave a 10 out of 10. This movie. Another example that older movies don't have to be boring. They just don't have to be boring, you know? This movie, everything that was going on in this was important. The acting was amazing. And like, how do you come up with this concept of Freddy Krueger coming in to your nightmares? How do you kill him? The concept, the acting, the visuals. I mean, the stress that you would endure going into a situation like this, the story, everything about this movie, I would not change a single thing. That's how I give my ratings, is of 10 out of 10. Would I change a single thing about this movie? No, I truly wouldn't. It is perfect how it is. Terrifying villain. The reason I gave this movie such a high rating, 10 out of 10. It makes me afraid to watch the sequels or any other remakes, anything like that, because this movie is so precious and so good. So good to me. Let me know if any of them are worth it, because I'm scared, not gonna lie. And if you haven't guessed by now, number 1, the best movie I have seen this year in my movie commentary, Scream. It is Scream. 10 out of 10. I would not change a single freaking thing about this movie, okay? This movie is fantastic. It is combined comedy and horror perfectly. The storyline is just, it flows, it makes sense. I mean, I'm like, Billy, why are you trying to kill her? Matthew Lillard, I love him. Best acting, funniest character in like movie franchise history. Any character that Matthew Lillard plays is just hilarious, spectacular, and I love him. I love how aware of itself that this movie is, and that's why it makes it so hilarious. And not only that, I truly didn't know who was gonna be the killer, because they play so many different misdirects. You think you know, and then we're like, oh yeah, it's definitely this person, but it's so early on in the movie that it just can't be. And of course, I'm a sucker for originals. I'm a sucker for the start of franchises. You know what I mean? I wouldn't change anything about this movie. I can't even go on about how much I love this movie. 10 out of 10. Best movie I've seen this year. Love it. Love it, love it. And I can't believe I took so long to watch this movie, and I finally did. All right, to that, we will finish. All right, let me know what you guys thought was your favorite best movie of 2021, just in general. Could it be something that you saw in theaters, something that you saw on Netflix, on a streaming service, whatever it may be. Let me know, what was your favorite movie of 2021? Thank you guys for coming along with me on this journey. Not to get too emotional about it. You guys have really changed my life for the better, and I am so appreciative of every single one of you that's liked, that's commented, subscribed, done all of that jazz. And I am just so grateful. I never really thought I was gonna be able to be at this point where I could, you know, do this and have the following that I do. And I love this community. You guys are so nice and so kind to me. And I love you guys oh so much. As always, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all that jazz. And as always, thanks for watching.